Last time on Life in Low Range.
I don't have front wheel drive.
Get a Jeep, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Chuck Norris is supposed to do what it's supposed to do, and it's not. I don't know that we had front wheel drive. We got no trailer lights.
You only fail when you give up.
After misdiagnosing on the trail, we're gonna do a quick test here on site. See if we can narrow it down. Should be able to tell pretty quick if that is a problem with the lockout. Come over here and we verify. This was apparently our naughty wheel hub. Remember, it has no preload, and I was trying to Grandpa Simpson this. So if we pull that to the lock position, what it should be doing is it should be cogging into another set of internal splines. So if this was appropriately locked, I would spin this. If the other side is locked, which it is, the drive shaft should spin. No spinny there. So that confirms the frustrations that right now what's happening is inside the front differential, it's spinning, and since there's nobody home here, there's nothing spinning inside the locker, inside the differential, therefore nothing is spinning the drive shaft either. Next step is we pull off the wheel, and then we have to unbolt the hub and see what's going on behind these here Yukon hubs that really weren't that old. It would be nice to have four-wheel drive again. It's kind of cool to wheel and two-wheel drive, but not confidence inspiring. A lot of people at home, they just see this
on the outside.
And I mean, you can really see those bubbles here.
And what makes it challenging is people would want to take this to a body shop and they wouldn't want to spend a lot of money. And they'd be like, well, I have some bubblage here. I'd like that taken care of. They expect that just to disappear and everything be copacetic. So the body shop will grind those flat, put some Bondo on that, and then they would have just painted it. And in about 2 years, that would all fall off. And they would be shocked. And because paint's so expensive anymore.
It's still $2,000.
Yeah, that's a $2,000 repair. And then somewhere they're lighting them on fire because...
Oh, I went to this shop and I'm never going to go back there again because they're hacks and that fell apart in a year and a half, 2 years.
But that's literally what you paid them to do.
We're doing a response video for you folks out there because this sweet Jeep is up from Kentucky. The mad scientist has done some wicked good repairs on it where we have cut out nasty, rusty metal that nobody else was willing to do. We've done an above average repair so that this Jeep is as rust-free as humanly possible. And yet, we have online who says, here's where you're wrong. If it's ever that bad, don't do it. Somebody's got to do it. Tell the customer there is more rust damage and how it's going to cost. Covering up rust is always a hack job, even if the customer asks for it. Yeah, we know. That's why we made the video.
That's why we didn't cover it up. It's laying on the floor here.
We're literally holding the piece of metal that we removed from the Jeep in the video that we're talking about. But in case the folks at home are unaware, we're showing you in true fashion. This is just primer at this point. Now that the repair is made, we said, who's covering up rust? Because we're cutting it out and replacing it with new metal. He says, you don't get to blame the ignorant customer for your work.
Nope.
What video are you watching? I'm not saying you'll do this. So then he is saying, I'm just tired of people cutting corners. So then says, I like how they blame the customer. There is a little bit of personal responsibility in our message, but we're also trying to educate because these things have happened. And goes on to say, I would agree with the reviews. You are hacks. Negative. It's your responsibility to set the expectations when you do the repair. The customer don't do body work on vehicles. That is why they came to you. Metal is solidly welded in. All of the rust has been fully cut out because, again, this customer couldn't find anybody in a 6 to 8 hour radius to do this work for their Jeep, period.
In a good manner.
In a good manner. Yeah. That's why we're trying to educate. And so we showed this piece and the bubbling
As an educational piece.
as an educational piece, because on the backside you don't know that that's in there. At this point, the Jeep is going back together. It's back from Doc's house. The metal's in. The next time you see this Jeep, it'll be rolling in or out of the paint shop. This orange should look pretty similar to everything. We're not doing a full respray of the Jeep. We're just doing a touch up here. There'll be rocker panel, a rocker guard.
The factory Rubicon guard will go back on there.
We'll go back on.
The next thing I'm going to do is, obviously we have our nut certs. Those are for the factory Rubicon bar. Because again, this is a brand new piece of steel. There's no holes there. I'm going to fit it back on, use these to locate it. Our replacement bottom piece does not have the nut certs for that as well. I will install those so that all those things are there before it goes to paint shop. I purposely leave my welds a touch low so you can put a small amount of filler over top of them, sand it off with a longboard, and then paint it. And actually most, how I was taught is you want to try to keep your seams behind things. I literally could not do that on this. The guard literally comes to here. We're a solid inch above, but it needed done. It had to be done to protect and save the Jeep. If you come in here, you can see this new piece back here. I did save the top part of it. This is all new. This flange is new. This is where your seat bolts. That is part of that inner structure for your body mounts. We seam sealed over top everywhere it would normally be. Not the best seam sealer guy in the world, but as long as it's sealed up nice. This piece was actually removed as part of the repair, and so wasn't this, because there was welds for that inner body support all along through there. Up here, this was cut out, and I welded both sides of the floor support so to make sure that we had good protection and penetration between the two pieces. This piece back here actually just fell apart. That's why I don't have it to show you. This is a new piece as well, because that was all gone. Bar is all bolted back in solid, and we're ready to go back together, get painted, and turn it out to the customer. And they are tickled. Another thing that a lot of people on YouTube do not know that we do, we take pictures through every step of the process and then upload that day to the customer. So as I was making these pieces from scratch, I literally was uploading them that night, and the customer has been following along step by step through this process. We have nothing to hide. Growing up, know about people that just mysteriously fix things, and we don't do that. We take that very personal. That's something that we are not hiding anything. We're trying to be very, very transparent as part of this process. That is the SFJ difference. And I know it's a little weird for some, but that is literally what we do, because we've been in the customer's shoes. We've been taken advantage of, and we don't want to do that.
Perfect.
Should we link that album?
We should link that album. We probably share all that with reasonable public availability, and you can kind of see a lot of those parts and processes that make us uniquely us in the approach, so that when you've got haters online who are kind of just popping off at the mouth for no particular reason, we can stand behind our work and say, hey, that's not us. You can take that smack talk elsewhere.
All right, so we are here working on old Harley, slowly moving things over to Harley 2.0. And we kind of wanted to show why we're going through all this. She had bought this Jeep for, I consider, a decent amount of money. I believe she was told that they had addressed a lot of things so she wouldn't have to worry about them. Well, the problem is it was a hobby rebuild that wasn't really shown how bad it was done. So we want to show you a few things of maybe if you're at home doing this, why you shouldn't do these specific things. This Jeep was in severe bad shape when they started redoing this. Just for example, we have weld that starts basically here and it goes all the way to here. That's over 3/4 of the length of the frame on that one rail that's been welded on multiple times. And the same thing on this side. You can see patch to patch to patch to patch to patch to patch. And that's just on the inside. So I would say 80% of this frame has been welded on. This right here is what took this Jeep off the road. So this is a replacement upper control arm mount. And first off, is it in the right spot? I don't know. Could be, could not be. But you can see we have a complete failure. It is cracked here, cracked almost complete. Oh, it is all completely through here. It has ripped off of the frame here, and it is, you can't see it, it's 3/4 of the way over this way ripped off as well. Look how much I can move that by hand. That is what locates your rear axle. That is what stops you, helps you go down the road straight. That is highly dangerous. And sadly, because it's on a patch, which is connected to a patch, which is connected to a patch, you really can't safely fix that. You're band-aiding it. You're just making it a problem for a later time. And then we get into this gem. Now, I'm not hating on welds or people learning how to weld, but don't learn on suspension components. This is all bubble gum welds, and you just don't keep putting it on if it's not good. Have your buddy that can weld better come over and do that specific spot. Go weld on some sculpture or something first. And this is just a frame. We'll show you some stuff on the body, as what's left of the body as well. Also, back here, you can see these rusted off. So we have a weld, doesn't completely go around. This is where your strength is what ties this bend into that plate. And you see that isn't even round for the body mount. On that side, on the bottom, it's rusted through. So that whole centerpiece they saved is actually rusted out. Onto the body. This is the driver's side rocker. If you watch our stuff, you would have seen on that orange Rubicon, this is what was in that Jeep's future if we wouldn't have gone in and fixed it. This over here is all Bondo. It literally fell off the Jeep when I went to cut it. And then this is all hiding underneath Bondo and paint. So it comes completely through, comes up well into here. That's terminal. Yes, they gave it some life, but my biggest problem is they then sold this Jeep and said it was a good Jeep. It was not. It wasn't holding together well. Up here, this is what that piece was attached to. So we have Bondo all the way up into here. Look at the... And this here, that's a patch. This is a new piece. So this was all gone before. And instead of going in and cutting out this rust, the rust just kept going. And because that's what rust does, it just continued on. It didn't actually remove it. It didn't fix it. So body mount right here. Again, here's our 2 bolts that hold the roll bar to the body. That is what holds your seat belt to you. Here's your other 2 roll bar mounts, which if you can see from Davey's camera, they don't even go all the way through. They didn't bother to even attach that. This is your seat belt bolt, or your seat bolt, I mean. So then you see seat belt attachment right there. See all of our rust here. And this is obviously not a stock piece. This is because the body mount channel that goes across here rusted off, so they use some rectangular tubing. This is all Bondo again. Now sadly, this is the good side. As you can see, again, this is where your seatbelt retractor goes. No bolt, no bolt, one bolt and one bolt, which we saw how rusty that was. And there's this plate that's just scabbed in here and some very cold welds there. So if this would have gotten in an accident and that seatbelt actually had to attach something, this would have all came loose. And that's not good. It's just not safe. And you can see here more ways of them fixing it. That's fiberglass. They didn't weld it. When I make a patch on my stuff I do, I cut out all the bad and then I weld this completely all the way around, not little tacks. You have to have that be structural. You know, nobody expects to get in a car accident, but again, when you sell a vehicle, you're not taking the risk anymore. You're just selling that off into other people, and that's just, in my opinion, not right. This is why we do what we do, because you know, she invested in this, and she had basically 2 choices: either sell, well, it's 3 choices: sell it off to someone else for them to deal with this mess, scrap it and be out all the money, or take the parts that are good and go over there and build something that you actually can keep, can last, can be safe in, know what you have, and be able to if desires change or life changes, we can now sell it and be confident that it's a good vehicle. Here we take pictures of the whole process. So if she was to go sell that Jeep, she's gonna be able to show from basically day one to when it's finished, all the process, what we found, what we discovered, how we moved stuff over, what parts were replaced, why we replaced them. Kind of gives you a really good selling feature so that there is no hidden bad welds or someone selling you, oh yeah, it's okay. Now you can actually see what process was done. All the good parts that were on this project are now over on New Harley. Let's go over and we'll do a quick update on that, kind of show you what it was, because the last time you seen that was picking up from paint. So a lot has happened. See here we have the motor transmission from old Harley moved over. We're trying to keep this a little bit on the budget side, so we didn't go completely crazy, but we did do a new water pump, new power steering pump, new lines, new steering gearbox, new fan clutch, new belt, thermostat housing and neck. The alternator was on its last leg, so we did go ahead and change that. I took a little extra initiative and I cleaned up these two parts. Not crazy, not a big sandblast, just wire wheeled them. Got rid of the major rust and went ahead and put on some new paint. Got new brake booster, new master cylinder, stainless steel lines for brakes, some new brake hoses. So we have our lift springs and new shocks. Here we have the dash moved over. We have the heater box moved over. Have our shifters moved over. We got our rear seat, our rear carpet. We have our rear seat belts moved over. And all the hardware for the seat belts are cleaned and red loctated, because you don't want those bolts to come loose. See, we have all of our bolts holding the roll bar in, unlike over there. I went ahead and, just as an extra precaution, cleaned up where your main traffic areas are on the floor and put some extra protection on there. Yes, there's going to be carpet over top, but then when leaks happen, because we all know there are Jeeps and it happens, there's just an extra piece of protection now. Help that rust stay away, help protect the investment. As I was starting to say in the other shot, see, we got our wiper system moved over, got all of our harness laid out nicely, and it's really coming along nicely. Try to get a lot of this stuff in here done so that when the fenders and the grill and stuff go on, I'm not leaning over top of them to try to get some of these brake lines and that stuff hooked up. That is basically our update. I'm going to continue to be putting this together. We're not that far off now to having it running under its own power, and this will be a whole Jeep very quickly, really soon.
So the plan is to unbrake the trailer. If you're recounting the many fails of the day, got started a little bit later. It wasn't really bad, honestly. It was a nice, pleasant start to the morning, but got there a little bit later than we would have liked. Promptly got the truck stuck in the parking area because they wanted me to back down the do not enter. And for once in my life, I thought I would follow the rules and I would not enter that space. They in fact wanted me to enter that space. Retrospect, I see the error of my ways, but got the truck stuck, get the Jeep off, try to move it with the Jeep. Davey runs the winch, Leo drives the Jeep, get it out, load it up, head off onto the trail, only to discover that we don't have four-wheel drive, misdiagnose it as the cable shift, decide to try and make the best of the situation and figure that we're going to continue to bump along, go off on the trail, we go down and down and down, up and then down, you know, all that kind of stuff, to the point where we get stuck at a little crossroads, jammed up between a bunch of ATV or side-by-sides, to which point now we're trying to let them get around us. I'm scouting which direction to go in the Jeep. I fall in the mud, soak myself. That was cool. And then we navigate our way out. Upon going out, we get back, we're trying to unpack the Jeep. Davey goes to try and make friends with people. They don't want to be friends with him. Side-by-siders do better. We can all be friends in the off-road scene. He tries to make friends. They don't want to be friends. We load up the Jeep. There's no lights on the trailer. We drive home in a snowstorm with no lights on 50-foot of trailer. So what we did was hit the hazard lights on Chuck and let Chuck blink the whole ride home. Today we're going to unbrake it. So I went to put the ramps in. That was the problem. I remember now, the thingamajig and the whatchamacallit. So I go to slide the ramp in and it kind of had a little bit of resistance. So obviously the most logical thing that you should do is just pull it back about 6 inches and ram it in harder. which also didn't work. And what I think I did in the meantime was I stripped back some of the sheathing of the wires. I'll show you guys that here in uno momento. And I think what happened is that wire touched the trailer, and I think it blew a fuse somewhere on the truck side. That's what I suspect. I'm using my trusty power probe. If you don't know what this is, it's a power probe that gives electricity. Here, I'll give it to Davey. See, it's 12 volts, it doesn't hurt us. Ah! Nope, that's not true. I'm gonna flip the truck on. I'm also going to do my darndest to determine what is what on this here plug-a-ma-jug. I gotta figure out what's ground. I've already got this apart a little bit here. These should be pretty underwhelming. Oh, looks like that should have been my parking brake. That's cool. And we're just gonna go ahead and energize them. We're using a 12-volt battery. I'm gonna pretend that this is ground because I think it is. And if we do this, that's telling me that's ground. Whoops, look at that. We've got lights. So I'll either get Scott, or maybe Savage, you can help me, and I'll just shout down to you and you tell me what's blinking on the trailer. Anything?
No. Right. Everything.
This is part of the diagnostic process where I forget everything that we just discovered, and so I need a notepad and a writing utensil and to write down my color codes. I'll be back. There we go. So what I've determined, to plop that open. That's no bueno. That got really hot. Probably a little arky-sparky happened. Thankfully, it didn't burn the truck down. I found these really sweet diagrams for those of you at home. I should probably laminate these for my own records here. But this gives you a truck side and a trailer side. I went ahead and I determined what is and isn't working right now. And for the most part, it appears that the trailer is working. But I'm gonna show you what I think happened. I suspect that there is bare wire. And I suspect that this bare wire is probably our trailer lights. So I'm gonna need to make a repair at minimum. And what I bet is happening is that it grounded through the trailer and did bad things to the plug. So I'm gonna end up laying on this really high-end creeper. The Snap-on truck was just over there. They're here. So I just bought this really nice creeper from the Snap-on truck. It's only a low $39.95 for the rest of my life. I'll lay on my quality creeper and fix those wires up. Then I'll get them kind of pinned up out of the way, because that's where the ramp should go, not where wires should go. And once we get that and I redo the plug on the trailer, our rep at the local parts store is going to be bringing up a couple 7-pins for me. I'll redo the truck. I'll redo the trailer side. And I think at that point in time, we should have lights again. So one unbroken thing that we broke on New Year's Eve. We'll see. Through some sound diagnostic, some visual inspection, we went ahead. Lights are worky. We'll show you guys that here in a second. Power probe was worth its weight in gold per the usual, because you're able to sit there and energize circuits and just, show how things are supposed to work. It didn't burn anything down. That's the good news. At this point in time, we've got a new plug on that there trailer. I need to dress it up a little bit with these little covers that don't fit very well, but we're right there. So I'm pretty tickled. I know how I can improve upon it, but the good news is the next time we're ready to go out, we've got juice. And accidentally discovered that I never had a left turn signal. So fixed that along the way. Went ahead and repaired that wire that was hanging down, and then I got up under there, and you can't even see it at this point. And we got all that wires tucked up away, structural zip ties. We're off to the races again. It's a win. Trailer's dirty. Savage is gonna clean it for us, and we're gonna figure out where our next adventure takes us. Where should we go? Maybe you guys will let us know. OVJ's 10 miles for 2 miles Starlight Crawl. That's on my radar. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking Moab.
We have a little bit to do before we get there. I gotta shove this back in its hole, and we are gonna save YJ's. YJ CJ's. It's a YJ that identifies as a CJ. We're saving it from the Iron Oxide Plague. And we're gonna take it over to the paint shop. You met Brad previously, did Harley Rose. Harley Rose is still in progress, but we've got another one roll right back in behind it. And the Greg family from Greg Family Christmas Trees, amazing. We are gonna be painting that Jeep a beautiful, brilliant blue. It's an AMC color. Brad's gonna be doing that work for us. So He already swung by, grabbed the smalls today, and I'm gonna drop the trailer, we're gonna load the tub on, the windshield frame, and we'll get it over to his shop, get it loaded in, and we're off for the races. Beautiful day to build Jeeps.
He's gonna put you to work this time, isn't he?
This hill gets me every time, you know that?
Yeah.
If I would have butted up to it, we would be sitting like that up in the air, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's okay. Davey's really strong. You happy with it there?
Yeah.
We're back at paint shop. Brad is here. This is the YCJ. I don't know. We're going to figure out a name for it. So Brad is intending to paint this in a beautiful, brilliant blue AMC color. We went ahead. This is one that I brought up out of the Carolinas. These Jeeps, these tubs are getting harder and harder to come by, flat out. So this is actually a YJ body. It's about as clean as they come for the price point that it was at. Most recently, I just saw one of these in probably a little bit better condition than this, going for $3,000, and it still needed body work. That's insane. We went ahead. We had to rebuild underneath where the roll bar goes. It's a pretty common problem area. This already had some of this bodywork type paint put on there, but this is actually us. This Scott came in, put good metal, filled any holes that they had, because this will actually be getting, instead of YJ flares, this will be getting CJ flares. So we filled all the holes so that the CJ will be drilling new holes for the CJ fender flares. We have all new sheet metal for the front, so a full CJ front clip, thanks to our friends at Crown Automotive. And so we have replacement fenders, replacement grille, and a replacement hood. We're also doing a CJ tailgate conversion. So realistically speaking, to the average enthusiast eye, you're not gonna know that this was a YJ. The only piece that is going to be a tell, you know what, I'm gonna let you guys at home figure it out. Somebody's gonna have to leave a comment below, but there will be one thing that will not be changed, and you're gonna have to tell us what it is. And you might not know it from this video, but you're gonna have to continue to watch and sort out what that one tell is that makes it completely YJ.
You notice I painted the inside of the wheel wells black?
Yeah, that looks really good.
I was going to paint them blue, and I thought, off-roading, it won't take long for the paint to all get knocked off of them.
Right. Oh, man. The paint laid pretty well and everything?
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's funny, there's a group, very large group, dedicated to just blue Jeeps. And I posted on that page, and they went nuts, right? They're all trying to guess the color, because when you had that paint lid and we held it up right here, you know what I mean? That was the picture I posted, and they were like, oh, it's Chief Blue, it's Hydro, it's this, it's that, you know what I mean? And one or two people called Brilliant Blue.
Brilliant Blue, that's right.
They understood kind of what it was, if you will. Yeah, that's awesome. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to start to put this one together, And the hood came out. Excellent.
You can see here, you can flip it up if you want.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, that came out gorgeous.
I hope they'll be happy with it.
Oh, they're going to be tickled. They are going to be tickled. We're going to have a good time with this one. And the CJ-YJ marriage, and this is just fitting. This is going to be a gorgeous blue. And yeah, that's what's up. People are going to be tickled about that. So excellent. I have a check for you. There is your remainder.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you.